Hello, my name is Stephen Denman. My organisation is called Shining Guidance. My website is shiningguidance.com. Today I'm wanting to talk to you about what I call sexual mind control. And this is going to involve discussing the pornography industry and the darkness and the evil that exists behind the scenes in the pornography industry and where the origins of the pornography industry emanate from. So we're going to go back to the 13th of April 1953 with the development and the founding of Project MK that was authorised and funded by the US federal government. That was then reduced in scope from the 1st of January 1964 through to the 31st of December 1967 and was then completely halted, apparently halted, on the 30th of June 1973. Now, just after the 30th of June 1973, it was from literally that moment on that Project Monarch was developed, which had developed really and evolved from Project MK. And what we're looking at here is how that morphed over many years, fully funded by US taxpayers, European taxpayers, and so forth, into becoming a covert sexual mind control project, if you like, an operation over the masses to completely redevelop how human beings view their sexuality, and taking what was traditionally the Judeo-Christian monogamous relationship, heterosexual relationships of men and women bonding together, becoming husbands and wives and having children, into distorting all of that and promoting perversity and deviance and metrosexualism and complete disconnection, really, and distancing from those natural and innate sort of resonances and potential that we all carry on a soul personality level. So I want to discuss this in detail, really go into looking how the pornography industry, the subversion of human sexuality and sexual mind control is all really emanating from a dysfunction in the 3D holographic reality of this material dimension that we exist within, and how that is all really affected and invisibly influenced from the lower astral, and therefore the astral plane. And when we look at the pornography industry, it is a mass media form of subversive dominance that is there to infiltrate the subconscious minds of the masses. It's designed to specifically, literally excite the mind, especially the egocentric thinking of men, and the human sexual drive, the need in some people to kind of find sexual arousal and stimulation in perversity, because they're emotionally damaged and traumatised on a subconscious level and are probably not even aware of their own inner traumas. When we look at female porn stars, at least 9 out of 10 of those female porn stars were sexually abused growing up. So they were literally victims, if you like, of childhood sexual abuse, sexual manipulation. And those individuals are reliving on camera their inner traumas, their inner pain, and then millions upon millions of men, whether it's in the United States of America and Canada, or across mainland Europe, in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, or the Irish Republic, wherever it is on the planet, could be in the Middle East, could be Latin America, wherever, are looking at these millions of porn sites of thousands and thousands of different female porn stars who were sexually abused growing up. They were probably abused by their fathers, who, or perhaps friends of their fathers. And we know that the actual programming that they have, which is beta programming, also known as sex kitten programming or sexual kitten programming, which is part of Project Monarch, which came out of Project MK which, I'll reiterate, was fully funded by US taxpayers who were paying money to the IRS, which was then being given to the US federal government. So there's a kind of an irony in that people were paying for their own mass mind controlling sort of manipulation on a social level. So when we look at sexual mind control, this is a mass-induced form of highly subversive, long-term planning that has been rolled out to deliberately completely shift how human beings view human sexuality and completely lessen the importance of heterosexual male-female relationships, the stable nuclear family where there is a loving husband, a loving wife who becomes a loving father, and she becomes a loving mother, and they have those children and they bring them up in the correct way. And what's happening is the use of pornography was intended to create a division in consciousness, to create fragmentation, to create severe mental health issues, and actually to develop really what is now become coined, the term is now psychosexual developmental disorders, or PDD. And that is really what is going on, is that you've had state financed, mind control experiments going on. You've had sexual mind control through Project MK Ultra being literally honed to perfection, from 1953 to 1973. And then that immediate after the 30th of June 1953 onwards up until now in 2022, you're looking at Project Monarch being absolutely, beyond any comprehension, perfected to a level that we can't even comprehend. So when we look at people like, the British mentalist Derren Brown and his fantastic mentalist abilities, and his TV programs, that just gives you a small inkling of the level of mind controlling experimentation that is going on, especially when it's around sexual mind control. And you take a look at the individual known as Paul McKenna, the British hypnotherapist and hypnotist. You've got an individual there who, again, with his stagecraft, is just giving you a small inkling of how powerful the manipulation of the human mind has become, and how unconsciously, almost to the level of complete oblivious, non-awareness that human beings are to how serious these kinds of mental enslavement are. And when you take a look at, say, the American pornography industry, it is almost like a biological factory. It is so devoid of any spiritual understanding. There is no empathy. It's all fake kisses. It's all artificially edited together. It's trying to make out that the deviant sort of sexual practices these individuals are involved in are something that everybody secretly wants to do or secretly desires, when 99.99% of the global population don't give a damn about such things, aren't remotely sexually aroused or sexually stimulated anyway by such deviance, and yet it's funded with such vast quantities of money. And you have to ask the question, why is it that the pornography industry, porn websites, whether you're looking at Pornhub or any of the other types of pornography websites that are out there, why are they still allowed to be up there? Why is there not proper filtering going on? The different governmental bodies around the planet, the United Nations knows this, the European Union knows this, the US federal government knows this, HM government in the United Kingdom of Great Britain knows this. They know how damaging on a psychological and a sexual level it is, especially for children, especially for any child below the age of 16, male or female, to look at such imagery, whether it's JPEG or PNG images, whether it's MP4 files or WMV files, whether it's even just 10 minutes or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes or 60 minutes of pornographic material, hardcore pornographic material. It's psychologically damaging. It gives completely the wrong message of how a male and a female should interact. It completely distorts and fragments the natural health and beauty of strong heterosexual relationships between men and women, which is based on mutual trust, mutual respect. You look at the available statistics, and it's known that the primary reason now in the United States of America for divorce is now pornographic addiction, where overtly ridiculous expectations are placed on the husband onto the wife, mainly, maybe on some occasions expectations that are unattainable and unachievable are placed by the wife onto the husband, but it's mainly male to female, where they've been watching too much pornography and they expect their partner to perform certain sexual acts and certain, certain sexual postures in bed that are just completely and utterly ridiculous because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But of course, that's not what they're supposed to do. They have been heavily mind controlled because what they're involved in is sexual mind control, and inadvertently they've been influenced by Project MK Ultra, which developed Project Monarch. So when you actually think of it in a logical sense without actually getting emotional, without involving the human egocentric and egocentric thinking processes around pornography and sexuality, what you're actually seeing is literally abused, drugged prostitutes on camera who are being sexually abused in all their orifices. I don't need to say any more than that. And what you're seeing is people becoming sexually aroused and stimulated who have no awareness that 9 out of 10 of those females on camera were sexually abused growing up. They've probably got programming handlers that use beta programming, sex kitten programming, or sexual kitten programming as part of Project Monarch. They're not aware of the use of different types of geometric and pictorial tattoos on the bodies of many of the females. I'll give you an example of this. Many of the females have a 5-pointed star, or a five-pointed, it's literally, in a sense, it's a pentagram. So it's usually navy blue in colour, and that 5-pointed star is tattooed at the base, literally where the root light vortex is, at the lower part of the spine, just above the cleft of the buttocks, is where that will be placed. In terms of sexual ritual magic, which Aleister Crowley was heavily involved in, the English ceremonial magician and Satanist, what you're finding there is it acts as a dimensional portal that opens part of the aura around that female's body. So her aura is literally allowing entities, astral entities, negative entities, or evil spirits to link with her. And she's already in a traumatised state. A lot of these women are taking Xanax, they're taking cocaine, they're taking heroin while on set. A lot of them are drinking whiskey and vodka and other alcoholic spirits. Interesting phrase, that alcoholic spirit. There's a spirit in the alcohol. Again, we're looking at the astral spirits, negative spirits. Again, there's that connotation. And people aren't aware of that. They're not aware that these are literally magical sigils that are used in sexual ritual magic. As I've said, like Aleister Crowley, the English ceremonial magician, was famous for using, and his Babylon working and his other magical rituals. And then we take a look at the other main tattoo, which is the butterfly tattoo, which is usually, again, is a tattoo which is placed literally just upon the root light vortex, just above the cleft of the buttocks on the female, which again is connected to beta programming, sex kitten programming, sexual kitten programming, and it sometimes is also called butterfly programming. And the butterfly will usually be a dark blue and purple mottled colour. Sometimes the tattoo of the butterfly will be on the left shoulder or the right shoulder, and sometimes it will be placed on the left wrist just below the hand, or on the right wrist just below the hand. And sometimes the female will have more than one butterfly tattoo, could have as many as 3 to 5 on the body, and the same with the 5-pointed star or the pentagram. So they're literally marked with magical sigils that act as a frequency and vibration gateway that opens their aura to allow negative entities or astral entities, negative spirits, astral spirits, whatever phrase you want to give them, they were called demons in the days of old, that will then interlink with literally their trauma, with their sexual mind control, that act as an extra layer of malevolence and dominance over their thoughts, their wills, their volition, their independent thinking, to literally make them into biological and sexual slaves who are willing to do the bidding of their programming handlers. And that is what is going on with the pornography industry in the United States of America. That is what is going on with the pornography industry in mainland Europe. And that is what is going on in the pornography industry in places like Japan, in some parts of mainland China, And it's most certainly going on in countries like the United Kingdom of Great Britain and the Irish Republic. So we're looking at a very, very serious problem. It's very, very widespread. It's not something that can be laughed off or shrugged off. This isn't about a Western kind of liberalism, and its sexual expression. We're looking at the deconstruction of the natural Judeo-Christian sense of monogamy, sexual and marital loyalty, fidelity, which then breaks down the nuclear family, because then there's no relevance or emphasis anymore put on saying, yeah, it's really important to be, a husband and wife. It's really important for us to have a family that we love, sons and daughters we cherish and we can bring up and they can have great careers. And that's when you look at a lot of these countries, you look at, what do you call it, Generation X. You look at a lot of the young people today. A lot of young people just want alcohol, they just want to do drugs, they just want to go night clubbing, they just want escapism, leisure pursuits. They don't have any sense of, I want to commit to a long-term relationship, I want to have a marriage, I want to have a family. There's no emphasis put on it. Yes, some people still do that, but then it was always designed for some people to still want to have marriage and family, while many others did not want that, just want to be, singletons, be metrosexuals, sleep around. They can, the men can brag to their friends, and these men are in their 30s and their 40s and 50s, and they're still acting like they're teenagers. And of course, when it happens with women, they're just classed as sluts. They're classed as, whores, and other derogatory words are used. But the man is the stud. He's the player, and all of this has come off the back, really, of all the sexual mind control that's come out of Project MKUltra, which then morphed into Project Monarch and many other mind controlling experimentation and development phases that went off into the military industrial complex. But that's perhaps a talk for another day. But it's sad in a way, because when you go back to, say, World War II, that brief period from 1939 to 1945, and when you look at the National Socialist Deutsche Beta Party, the NSDAP, in English is known as the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the NSGWP, this Third Reich, the Third Empire, when you actually take a look at what was really going on, that's where Project MKUltra came out of, under Operation Paperclip, that occurred after World War II ended, and over 250,000 National Socialist German scientists, technologists and engineers were literally transported to the United States of America, and the US federal government financed their housing, their scientific and technological research. They went into various US federal government departments, US federal government executive agencies, and they were literally financed by US taxpayers after World War II to come into the United States, and they were paid to infiltrate the United States of America, its entire, federal governance. And out of that came all this sexual mind control. And you think of the individual known as Wilhelm Reich and all his research into orgone energetics and human sexuality and the human orgasm. And he was one of the good individuals. He was a good-hearted man. He was a highly intelligent scientist, and he was completely right. And of course, his work was confiscated and he was censored, and the rest, they say, is history. But I really think it's important for people to understand where human sexual energetics are heading, because if people just unconsciously allow themselves to be mass mind controlled by Project Monarch, through the pornography industries, through porn websites, and then you go and look at what the top searches are. If you go to Maury or Gallup or YouGov or similar market research organisations, you find some very disturbing trends. I don't really want to discuss the specifics of what the searches are. You can go out on the internet, you can go on Google, you can go on Yandex, you can go on Bing, and you can find those yourself. And it is very, very disturbing. It makes you wonder what is going on subconsciously in people's minds. And if you then realise that from all available research that more than 50% of people who are accessing the internet and are looking at pornographic material are below the age of 16. And I think 7 out of 10 of those under 16-year-olds are teenage boys, and the other 3 are teenage girls. 3 out of 10 are teenage girls. So then you're looking at a really disturbing picture emerging. I mean, it is really disturbing. And it doesn't bode well for the future of this planet. So what we need is people coming forward with positive and proactive solutions that are going to take this pornographic material that's out there and look to shut down these websites and to help find really positive and kind of beneficial and helpful ways of healing people around them, because there's going to be a lot of psychological and a lot of emotional damage in millions and millions of young people going forward from 2022 onwards. You'll see it through 2023 and then 2024, 2025, 2026, and we'll go on to 2030, then it'll go on to 2035, 2040, and even if the whole evil structure of the demonic hierarchy that's behind the elites that's ruling the system on planet Earth was to suddenly be dismantled tomorrow, you're still going to end up with hundreds of millions of human beings that have got very severe mental health issues, many of which have got them from psychological and emotional damage, from childhood sexual abuse, from pornography addiction. And then look at all the female porn stars. Look what they're going through. Look at the huge suicide rates amongst female porn stars. I mean, I don't need to add much more. I think I've said enough in this talk on sexual mind control. It's all very thoughtful and reflective information, and I'll leave it with you to decide what you think is the best solution to move forward with, to find a way to dismantle this insidiousness that has come from pornography addiction, that all stemmed from Project MKUltra, and then it morphed into Project Monarch and is now infiltrating the minds of literally hundreds of millions of human beings across planet Earth. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap up this talk now. So thank you very much for watching my presentation. And I've got many more presentations to come on many different subject areas. And it's very enjoyable filming and uploading these. It's fantastic. It really is. Have a great day, everybody. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.